I'm Ben Nguyen. I am a professional MMA fighter, ex-UFC fighter, current RIZIN fighter. You might know me from the famous YouTube video of the guy with the tattoos gets into my face at the weigh-ins and then tries to act tough. And then the next scene, I knock him out. I'm Vietnamese and I really enjoy fighting. It's my passion.
Welcome to The Vietnamese. I'm your host, Kenneth Nguyen. Being part of a culture of nearly 100 million Vietnamese people in the world today comes with a lot of pain, proud history, and privilege. Join me as I highlight and explore the Vietnamese experience from all over the world. What does it mean to be Vietnamese to you?
Being Vietnamese to me, I feel like it's a sense of pride for me. Just to, I feel like I'm a lot different, more like special. I'm a professional athlete, which in like bigger sports are kind of rare to come across. So I feel like I'm pretty special in that sense of professional athlete. I represent many countries, and one of them is my native country of Vietnam. So I feel really prideful in that I can represent Vietnamese people. One of the purest forms of sport, which is mixed martial arts.
Yes, indeed. You touch upon a subject that I've been exploring lately with a few of my guests. Is this? You say represent Vietnam, right? If you ever went to fight for Vietnam as a country, like who are we supposed to cheer for? Which flag?
I know.
I'm not asking for an answer. I'm just rhetorically asking this question because it comes up now and again, and I'm like, I gotta start asking my athlete guests to ponder that, right? And I don't know if you are at that stage in your career where you are fighting for Vietnam or will fight for Vietnam,
Yeah.
or train kids that will come out of Vietnam to fight for Vietnam. But then what flag are we representing now?
Yeah, that's a tough question, and I try to not get the flags involved and more represent, I guess, the culture of Vietnamese people. Like I just want to represent the people of Vietnam, and it doesn't matter if you're living in Vietnam, you immigrated there from there. Um, I just feel like we should try to focus on representing the culture instead of two political sides of it, which can get really messy.
Yeah, it can, but I imagine like if you're coaching somebody and some kid like rises to the very top and he's wearing like the star flag, and I'm
Yeah,
at home in my living room in LA with like 30 other Vietnamese people, we're confused, right?
it
We
is.
It's so confusing nowadays.
It's super confusing, and yeah, it's. I don't think we should try to pick a side. I think we should all be on the same side.
Yeah.
We should all be. We're Vietnamese culture. We're
No.
one culture in many different
Countries.
countries and cultures and stuff. So why do we have to be split into two when come together and just be one? It's hard. It's
Absolutely.
hard.
So how did your parents come to the United States?
So my parents left Vietnam, I think in the mid 80s, and they left with my two older sisters on a boat, and they kind of just drifted out to sea. And I think they had the engine troubles and stuff like that. So like they were basically like literally like drifting, and a fishing boat like found them broken down and kind of got them some help, got the whole boat some help, and they ended up in the Philippines for a few months, and I think they were there for like 6 months, something like that, and basically they were waiting for a spot to open up in America. Um, to They're waiting for like a family to kind of take them in and sponsor our family, kind of get them acclimated to Western culture, stuff like that. So the very first spot that opened up was like in South Dakota, middle of nowhere, right? There's less than a million people in the entire state. The entire state has less than 1 million people. So
Is that where you were born?
I was born in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, born and bred. And
What was it like growing up Vietnamese in Sioux Falls?
it's funny, because I sometimes when I think back to when I was growing up in Sioux Falls, I didn't really know I was Vietnamese. I was like, I just kind of like I knew it was Vietnamese. I just forgot. Like you're just surrounded by the same people over and over. It's mainly Caucasian people out there, so you just kind of forget that you are a different culture. And I don't know. I just felt like I grew up. I kind of just I grew up in like this, just in like a normal Western.
But don't
Uh,
you get reminded because there's not a whole lot of people that look like you and me, right?
yeah, yeah. It's funny, yeah, because you'll see another Asian, like even another Asian, and you're like, oh wow, another who's that guy? But like you literally know, yeah, you literally know in town like every Vietnamese person in the town. So yeah, the community is quite close, and there's not many of us. So like we get together for church meetups and stuff like that. But like yeah, you knew every Vietnamese person in town, almost every Asian person in town. So
Did you
yeah.
grow up playing sports?
Yeah, I played basketball in middle school, and in high school I played football. I wasn't very, big. I wasn't like a massive player, so I didn't play much, but I think my junior and senior year in high school, no, my senior year in high school, I was like, you know what? Like I'm too small for football. I'll just go into it's my last year in high school. I'm just gonna go out with a bang. So I joined the cheerleading squad, and got to hang out with the girls.
That is
And
cool. That's such a
yeah.
really cool story. What did you do on a cheerleading squad?
So
What
yeah,
is that experience like?
so the experience was quite fun. It was really different. Because as a male cheerleader, you you get made fun of a lot. People thought I was gay,
Yeah.
whatever. But you kind of just have to put that aside. It's like, I'm hanging out with the girls.
Mhm.
I could like prop these girls up, and hang out with them and stuff, and go to like all the games, and
Yeah.
be in front of the crowd and sharing. Like you get all this energy and stuff. So it's a lot of fun being out there, and just got to put all the insults to the side, and just have fun. It was my last year of high school, so I
Yeah.
just wanted to like do something new. I was done trying to like try to fit into like a mold. I wanted to like do something cool, and I
That
felt like it was
that's such
different.
a cool story, cool aspect about who you are. I
Yeah.
can see that that sort of formative spirit is probably, and it's just a guess that I'm making, right? An assumption that that performative, being out there, and what you just said about the crowds getting you
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
probably
yeah, yeah. Just being out there in the crowd, getting the crowd going and stuff. Yeah, I guess it was like probably one of my first experiences being in front of such large crowds until I started doing fighting and stuff. So it was probably actually a good thing to get used to, being out there in front of people.
you have said in interviews that you started training at 12.
Yep.
What got you into that? Who took you to
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. So I got bullied in middle school. And my mom decided to put me into Taekwondo. She knew a guy that worked at her same like factory that taught martial arts at inside of a basement of a church gymnasium. It was like this super secret like fight club thing. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, yeah.
But um so I went in and started learning Taekwondo and stuff, and that really kind of like boosted up my confidence and
What was it, a
just
Vietnamese
as
guy that taught you?
no, it was Canadian guy, Canadian Italian dude.
Mhm.
By name of Sam.
Was Sam any
So hey,
was
what was
he
that?
was Sam any good?
Yeah, oh, he was awesome, man. So he taught me. He was a very like non-traditional taekwondo. You know, you do in non-traditional, you don't really do much fighting or sparring. You can, but like Sam taught me more like kickboxing, sparring stuff. So I really established like punching and kicking and striking like at such an early age that I felt like it gave me a huge advantage going forward into my MMA career because I just picked up on everything really quick. Like I was able to use my body really. I had really good coordination after doing taekwondo because you know you're balancing on one foot and like kicking like 50 times, right?
Yeah.
So my balance and stuff really shot up there, and yeah, it just set everything up for me really really good. Just because in MMA you're learning all these different skills, you know, all these different moves and techniques. So you're doing so many crazy things with your body. Like you got to be able to use your body. Like body dexterity is such a like a hard thing to learn. Like you think about it, but and it seems easy. When you look at it, it looks easy, but like when you go out and try to do it, and it's a lot harder than you think.
Yeah.
So
And is it harder than you think because physically it's harder to coordinate your body and your mind, or is it because there's so many chess moves like when you're about to approach a really quick situation and you can't react quick enough?
yeah, both. So it's having to do you're having to do like 10 different things in like a split second. So it's such a high learning curve to be able to do like say let's say like a triangle choke, like doing it like you're choking someone with your legs. You know, you got to position, you got to get it just right, right? So there's so many like different adjustments, and to do it really well, it's quite a challenge because you got to do everything. You got to do like 100 different things all in like a split second.
Mm. Now, when you were 12 and you got bullied and you got beat up, and you went and did this Taekwondo training with Sam, did it help you? I mean, did kids come after you and you were able to really do something about it?
I think I didn't have too much trouble like growing up after getting bullied, but like I think what it did for me was like boost my confidence. So like people around me, they knew like I wasn't like this shy kid anymore. Like I was like coming out of my shell, and I wasn't as vulnerable as I was when I didn't know anything. I didn't, you know, I didn't have any hobby or passion to kind of drive my life at that time. So when I found martial arts, it was like I felt like I had learned like superpowers, like all these like secret superpowers and stuff. So like I felt like I had so much more confidence after that, like knowing that you know I could defend myself at any time, and I had like a passion and a skill that I was working towards like every day. So I had like some sort of direction in my life at that time. So yeah, it was good. It definitely like boosted my confidence, and I highly recommend it to anyone wanting to get into martial arts that has like low self-esteem or is getting bullied and stuff because and it keeps you out of trouble.
Yeah. Well, at 12, I mean, how many times you get beat up before you went and had?
Oh, it was like a couple times, you know. It didn't take much. It was mainly like you know, kids just saying like I like this girl that would come up to me and say like, "Oh, you bombed Pearl Harbor and stuff." I'm like, Jesus. I was like, man, at the time I was like, it wasn't like didn't hit me that hard, but I was like, I was kind of wasn't proud to be Asian or
Yeah.
Vietnamese at the time.
Yeah, especially
So
I can't imagine Sioux Falls, right?
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, when everyone is Caucasian, but um, yeah, it's all good now.
Yeah. And you get motivated from that whatever happens and train harder and go harder, right?
Yeah, train harder, and I nothing really matters to me anymore. Like I just it's like I don't really get angry. I've never been in like a altercation outside of the ring. Like I've never had to fight like outside the ring. But there was this one time when I was celebrating a win after a fight, and my friend, he got into some trouble. He was like some guy was like getting to his face, and I was like and he was a fighter as well. And this is like out in the dance floor or something, and it was like two big groups, like our big group and their big group were like converging into two, and I was like trying to stop the fight. So like I like jumped into the middle of the two crowds, and then like I got punched in the face, which is funny because like the fight I was celebrating, I didn't get touched in that fight whatsoever. And then I go out to the valley, and then I get
This
punched
was
in
a
the
sucker
face.
punch. Was it a
Pretty much, yeah. Well, I just jumped in there, and then I got like clocked. I was like, what? I was like, what? I was
But
like surprised.
have you ever gotten clocked like that before?
Not out in the street, but like I've gotten like hit like many times in fighting, but out in the street never got like clocked like that, like
Yeah.
just randomly.
And then how did they break up the fight?
And the security like started jumping in, and it was like we got kicked out and stuff. But it's like it wasn't our fault.
Um, so when you were coming up as you were training, that's not the career path that you wanted at 12, right? Or 14, 15 years old. I mean, what did you want to do with your life?
At 12, man, I I don't I don't know. I don't know if I had a plan at that time, but I guess when I was like more closer to 18, I was leaning, I was gonna like going to go to school, which I did. Like I went to college and stuff, and I was gonna go become an engineer. So I was like I was going down that path of university, and which I did go to 1 year college. I just knew it wasn't for me. I dropped out pretty much to become a cage fighter.
Yeah, what was the moment where you were like, or what led up to that moment?
Cause so I did my 1 year in college, and then I got home, spent the summer, and then I spent the summer at home, and then I was at that time I found like an MMA gym, like an actual MMA gym that taught like Brazilian jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai. And that's when I started training like all these different martial arts. And I was like, man, this is really fun. Like I could see myself doing this forever. I loved it. And fall came up, and I kind of let like the student registration, the class registrations kind of slipped by. I was like, oh, I just kind of like pushed it off, and yeah, I basically didn't register for next year, and then I didn't tell my parents, which at the time probably wasn't a good idea, and they figured out that I wasn't going to school, and they got really upset. Like I almost got disowned by my parents.
How did that
Uh,
conversation go down?
oh man.
I mean, how'd they even figure out that you were not going to school?
Well, so the school I was going to is like an hour away, so I would have stayed, out there. So they figured out like by me not pretty much like going to like not moving away and going to school and stuff. Like, why are you so why are you supposed to be going to school? And yeah, it was basically like me watching jujitsu videos on TV and just watching like all these different instructionals, like trying to get myself better and going to training like 2-3 times a day. And I think they figured out like, you're not going to school and you should get a job and stuff. Okay,
So
so
what did that conversation go down like? They sat you down and said, "We're not happy with this decision. I mean, you have to go back to school." And how did you reply?
oh man, it's hard. I'm trying to think back. I think it wasn't like a sit down like, all right, what are you gonna do with your life? It was more like, oh, you're not going to school this year. Okay, you must be just taking a break. And then the year would pass by and I was like still at home, still training. They're like, Ben, he must be taking another year. Like he's gonna have to start paying his school loan soon and stuff. And um yeah, I think that's when I got a full-time job at Best Buy. And I was working for like the geek squad. I had like the tie,
Yeah, yeah,
the black tie and stuff like that. And driving around to people's houses. And they're pretty happy that I I was going down that road. Like I had like getting a full-time job, is a pretty big deal.
yeah.
And yeah, I feel like they were pretty content with that. And then I think I was like around in my early 20s, and then I got the call out to go out to Thailand to go try out for like this fight team at Tiger Muay Thai. So I was like, oh man, do I like drop everything like to go and do this? Because like I just got like this full-time job. I'm climbing the corporate ladder and stuff, and I'm making decent coin. So I was like, but like, what if I was like in my head, like, what if like I do make this team, and it does propel me, like, but but then again, I was thinking, what if I don't even make the team? What if like I get injured or whatever? It's like out in Thailand, middle of nowhere. And so I knew I couldn't let that slip past me, because I didn't want to like grow up and think back on that time when I had this opportunity to do something. And I couldn't let it slip by. So I pretty much dropped everything. I quit my job. I sold everything that I had, my car, motorcycle, and then I pretty much like went over to Thailand, tried out for the team, and actually made the team. And that's pretty much like the time when I made the decision, like this is it. Like I'm pretty much like a full-time fighter now.
Up
And
until that point, though, did you have any thoughts of being a pro fighter?
oh, for sure, yeah, for sure. I fought a lot in this in around South Dakota, Midwest and stuff. And uh, I I was having a little bit of success, but I wasn't like getting where I wanted to be. So that's when I kind of shifted my focus away from fighting to into going into working for Best Buy.
Yeah. Now, can I ask you something? What can you do to prepare yourself when you're like 19 years old and you want to fight? I mean, you come from
Yeah.
a small town and you're fighting on these small town circuits, right? How do you get to the next level? Like if you
Yeah.
dream of becoming an MMA fighter.
Yeah. So that's a good question. Um, it all comes down to like your team that you start to follow. So it's all about finding the right people that are gonna help you propel you into your fight career. So you just When I found my team, it was just like a small group of people that one guy, he trained Muay Thai like in Minneapolis, and like this other guy, he trains Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu wherever, and yeah, it's just all finding the right team, and your coaches and stuff are gonna help you uh uh find amateur fights, and that's where you start off, is like you start out doing the smaller fight shows, and then you kind of just start building your record, and um you you get to a point where you need to find like an agent, like a promoter, an agent that will help you get fights in like the next tier of fighting. So there's like mid-tier shows, like shows that are pretty big, but they're not like the UFC
Yeah.
or Bellator or whoever. They're like that in that middle, like they're pretty big shows, but they're just not as big. And then you fight a bit in those shows, and then from there it's just getting the name out, and fighting a lot and being at the right place at the right time, man.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
And all this time, are you having conversations with your mom and dad about going?
uh I try to keep that at a minimum. They're like the whole time, I think before I got into UFC, they were like, Ben, like, why do you keep doing this fighting stuff? There's no money in it, blah blah blah. I don't want to see you get hurt. And then when I did get into the UFC and I won my first fight, I remember picking up the phone to my mom. I was like, "Oh man, we saw you on TV. Awesome, good job." And,
do they do they know how big the UFC is? Is that
oh yeah,
they
oh
understand?
now they do. Yeah, now they had no idea what it was before, but like when I got in, and then like their friends and our family friends explained to them, "Hey, look, UFC is like at the very top. You should be very proud." And getting that phone call, getting the acceptance from my parents, I remember that vividly, was like one of the best moments of my life, because I
Mhm.
could finally like put that to rest. Like they finally accept who I am now.
And from that point on, it was complete acceptance.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's funny because my mom, if we like jump into like a taxi, she'll be like to the taxi driver, "Hey, do you know my son? UFC." I'm like, "Mom, leave this guy alone. He just wants to take us. He just wants to do his job." Like my mom like brags about me all the time now. It's hilarious. Completely contrasts of what she was
Yeah,
before
yeah.
you. Oh my gosh.
How many kids does she have? How many siblings did your family have?
I have got two older sisters and then one younger brother.
Is
Yeah,
your
so
younger
they,
brother?
they all live in the United States still.
Yeah.
So my two older sisters are still in Sioux Falls, and then my younger brother lives in Denver.
And is your anybody into the fight game or
My brother, my little brother is he does like Muay Thai, and I think he does a little bit of jiu-jitsu, but yeah, I think mainly he does um Muay Thai.
is he
Yeah.
training professionally?
Not as a professional. He's not like he's a car dealer at a casino. Funny
Yeah.
enough. Yeah.
But he doesn't have any hopes of getting
No, I
into the game.
don't think so. No.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe like amateur, but like no.
So when you're okay, when you're training in Sioux Falls, right, as a young man, and you're having these ambitions, do you realize that there's like other things that like at what point do you realize that there's other branches, there's other disciplines that you have to branch out into and train into?
Yeah, so my first fight, I went in, I pretty much knew nothing but Taekwondo. I had like, I got my black belt. I pretty much like showed up one day. I was like, I'm gonna fight. And I got paired up against like this big wrestler dude. I pretty much like took me down and like choked me out. because I had no ground skill. I had no idea how to wrestle.
And
Uh,
before you fought that guy, did you even know that you needed that skill?
no,
Shh,
no, I thought I was like king
black
shit.
belt.
I was like, man, I'm a black belt. I'm gonna go and clean these
Oh,
guys up.
shit.
And I got humbled quick, bro.
And
So I went.
that was your first fight?
Yeah, it was my first fight. Yeah, got
Wow. And you had no
called
idea
up.
that there's other
No idea.
things happening in the universe. You're just like, "Oh, I'm a black belt taekwondo. I'm going to do this."
Pretty much, yeah. I thought I was like, man, man, I could take on the world, man. I could kick anyone's ass, and I thought I was like this badass.
But did you before? I mean, taekwondo on taekwondo, did you kick some butt?
Not really. I did like a couple tournaments, but that was it. I don't know. I was young and
Yeah,
dumb, I was
yeah.
like,
How old were you for that first fight?
I was 18,
Yeah,
18
what
when
do
I
you know,
was
right?
old enough to get into the cage. It was funny because like it was out in like the fairgrounds, so like where they show cattle. You
Yeah,
know about so
a
like
little bit. Yeah.
yeah, but they go around with the cattle and they judge them whatever. So like it was like one of those buildings where they set up a cage and you show up and you pretty much fight like all right you gotta fight this guy
Oh, so it's a
and not
complete
like
random.
yeah exactly completely random. So
No
those
amateur
are the
record
days.
or anything, right?
Yeah, it was just like it was just pro like what it shouldn't have been like a professional fight, but like yeah, it I don't know, like it was very dodgy,
Yeah.
very
So,
dodgy.
so he took you down quickly, and at 18, you come home, and then the light bulb goes off, and you're like, okay, wait a minute. I think I need to do a few more.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I was like, all right, I need to find a coach that can teach me how to grapple, and I found a judo coach that I actually started in judo as my first grappling art. In judo is just a little bit different than Brazilian jiu-jitsu, which everyone knows now in terms of like MMA fighting, grappling. It's just the emphasis is just different. So judo is more throwing, like you throwing like taking a guy standing and then like throwing them to the ground. And then there'll be grapples on the ground really quick. So it's more focused on the throws, where Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is more focused on like the actual grappling on the ground. So like laying down on the ground and like doing all these crazy moves and stuff. So that was my first art in grappling, and then I started doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu after that, and then Muay Thai, and then I was like, man, I really love doing this. I really love because MMA is not just the one discipline; it's like so many different
Yeah.
disciplines. And so it keeps everything really interesting, and there's always something to work on and get better at.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's such a fun sport to do.
How many branches, how many actual sports do you think, like if I was to be
Discipline.
15 and I'm like, I want to be an MMA cage fighter, what would you say to start focusing on in the next 10 years?
I'd say so the two disciplines you should know is probably know how to wrestle. So wrestling, like actual like wrestling, like high school or college wrestling.
Like Greco-Roman wrestling.
Yeah, like freestyle. Yeah, freestyle wrestling or and boxing. So
Oh,
if you know those two, you're pretty
amazing.
much solid. If you're good at wrestling and you can box, you're a pretty solid fighter, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is great as well. It's just it's almost sometimes too focused on like the locks and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But that and Muay Thai is good. Yeah, Muay Thai is always fun.
That's like four or five. It's boxing,
I know.
freestyle wrestling,
Yeah,
jiu-jitsu, um, Muay Thai,
Muay Thai. Yeah. So if you know those four, you're like the
unstoppable.
golden
Yeah.
unstoppable. If you're really good at those four, killer. And that's something I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good at all
Those
four of those.
Yeah, and did they grow? Did they grow in conjunction with each other, or did one, you were really good at one and then you slowly started to build the other
Mhm.
three?
So I grew up with the Taekwondo background, so my striking, I was more known for my striking. I still am pretty known for my striking, just from like that stupid YouTube video where I knock out that tattoo guy. Um, and I generally do like striking more than, well, I don't like it more. Like I'm just better at it.
Yeah.
I'm just better at like punching people than choking people out. I do have a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well.
Oh, wow. That's a
Yeah.
accomplishment, right? How long did that take?
I got it like 11, 12 years into doing Brazilian
That took
Jiu-Jitsu.
you 12 years. And were you like consistently showing up for training, or was it like you had breaks in between and stuff?
I was consistently training. It was just I was moving around the world too much that I wasn't sticking with like the one coach to kind of see my growth, because it's getting your black belt isn't just about being skillful in in a certain aspect. It's more about how you grow as a person. So
Really?
when, yeah, yeah, it's all about like discipline and growth. Well, it should be. And so if you're not with the same coach the entire time, it's really hard to judge their growth. And then when I settled in Australia, I was here for for about 6 years, and then I got my black belt. So I was here for like 6 solid years, and then performing at a pretty high level. I was at the UFC that in that time, and then I got my brown belt and my black belt by the same coach. So my last two belts I got were here in Australia.
This is a question I always think of, like these belts, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
all belts are not created equal, right? All
Yeah.
forms of these belts are not equal. But I have a feeling, for the most part, though, the jiu-jitsu belt is probably the most worthy. Am I wrong, or am I way off on that?
It's hard to say because without doing the different arts, it's uh like I would say yes, but I don't want to be ignorant and say that without knowing the different arts. And but yeah, it is generally the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt is like the most respected because it just takes a long time to get and to master.
Okay, and then when you say that, does that mean it takes a long time to master because there's so much to remember, or does it takes years of your body to acclimate to the movement?
Yeah, just there's so many different moves, and there's so many different moves, and knowing and being able to do all those moves well and combine those moves together uh is probably the hardest part. um because there's so many like different movements, and you just know when you're grappling with a black belt and when you're not, because they just black belts just do everything sharp and just do the body moves in such a efficient manner that you just know that guy's a black belt. Yeah, for sure.
And
So
do you
go
think
ahead.
any black belt that has a jujitsu black belt like is not at the level of like the international standard? Is that ever the case? You ever hear
um
about that?
yeah, all the time, man.
You.
You see these fake black belts and stuff, and there is like a standard in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu where if you're not actually a black belt, you'll get found out pretty quick
Oh
because
shit.
the mat doesn't lie. The mat doesn't lie. Like I said, man, it's just when you roll with someone good, you just know like they're good. Like, oh wow, like just just by like going in like first encounter, like, whoa, this guy's dangerous.
Yeah, and we as lay people, civilians, we don't think about those things, right? You don't really think about like, because you can't see it. You can't see skill
Mm.
until you get on the mat with somebody.
Mhm.
For the most part, you two guys are just standing at a bar. I mean, you don't really think about these things, right?
Right. I mean, if you if you if you pick me, if you grab me and like put me up against like a big bodybuilder dude and be like, all right, like who's gonna win in a fight, like me and this bodybuilder dude? Well, I guess it depends how big this guy is. If he's like the mountain, then
Yeah,
probably
yeah, yeah.
probably probably not win. But yeah, I'm pretty unassuming at that. You know, I could strangle a guy in like 20 seconds.
Yeah, yeah. There's no chance.
Yeah. So it's pretty assuming, and I do enjoy that fact that you know you don't have to be like this, you know, tatted up dude to know your stuff. You know, you just I think that gives me a lot of confidence just knowing that you know I could handle myself in a situation,
Yeah,
and no one knows that.
yeah. You know,
It's like being a secret agent.
I've been saving this tatted up guy story for the climax, or sort of, fuck it, let's just get to it, because
Okay, let's do it.
that's
We're
like
here.
that's like, yeah, we're here, and you keep bringing it up, and I'm like, all right, let's talk about it. We don't need to call him out, because it seems like you don't want to name him by his name. I mean, anybody can look him up, but uh,
Yeah,
yeah, his
it's
name is
just easier that way.
yeah, the tattooed guy.
Tatted up guy.
But when I watched that the first time, I think I had that shit on repeat for like 5 times, 6 times. And I know I'm not the only guy that did that. A YouTube that YouTube video, whoever, posted whoever owns that, like, because when people post things,
Yeah.
get the view counts, whoever like has those like in their thing, and it, because you just want to hit repeat all the time, because
Yeah.
it's a perfect story if you think about it. If you break it up into a 3 act story, you got the opening, which is, what happened is, the guy, taught
Mhm.
you. Then you have the midpoint is, the actual fight, or the, getting in the ring, and then the end is like you fucking annihilate him. And
Yeah.
I could just keep watching loop for over and over and over. Um,
Yeah, it's a definitely a instant karma video
yeah.
where yeah, you get all those parts and you see the bad guy being the bad guy, good guy being good, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh shit.
But I do have a lot of questions. All right. So the first question is this: how much of that guy did you study before you went to fight him?
So it didn't really take much to study him because we were actually going into that fight planning on wrestling him. So we wanted to take it to the ground and then beat him up because we knew
Yeah.
that he's got like this big overhand right that just smashes people. I think I watched one of his fights before my fight, and he was losing the fight and he throws like this big right hand that just happened to hit the other guy, and then the other guy gets knocked out when he was winning the fight. And we just knew we had to get away from that right hand, so we were planning on wrestling him, taking him down. But what had happened in the fight was he was standing so close to me that I could not resist punching him. So he was like right in front of my face, super flat footed and almost like in like a half squat. So I knew he wasn't very mobile. Like I knew if I were to step forward, he wouldn't be able to like react fast because he's so flat footed. He's so planted down on the ground. So he's like super close to me, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna punch this guy. All right. So the striking strategy was to punch and get away from his right hand. So I was stepping to my right, getting away from his right, punching him, bang, 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 hit him a couple of times, hit him with like a head kick or something. And then I knew that right hand was going to come at some stage. So keep hitting him down the middle with my left, right, left. And then at the corner of my eye, I see the wind up for his right hand coming. I was like, bang, hit him with my left, and then I see it, and then I just knew like I got him. Bang, hit him, and like the feeling of my right hook on his jaw, it felt like when you get like a roast chicken, like a rotisserie chicken from the store, and you know how you break the drumstick off and it makes like that pop noise. It felt like his jaw like did that pop noise, and man, I remember vividly when I hit him. It was like the hardest hit I've ever felt in a fight. Where it was just it was like that wind up, like whoa, bang, and it's like this big, massive pop explosion. And after that, I just went. I don't know. I didn't remember much after that point. I just remember just like getting pulled off the ref, and then like or the fighter, the ref pulling me off, and then I jumped. I found myself on top of the cage, like with my hands up, like screaming to the crowd, and and I remember like I got up, I was on top of the cage, like how did I get up here? Like this is like double my height. Like how did I jump up here? I
Holy
just
shit.
so like pumped up on adrenaline
Yeah.
and stuff. It's just I just had so much energy, and after that, yeah, I knew in that fight I couldn't lose to this guy who got into my face and tried to intimidate me. So I'm glad I was able to
Yeah, I mean,
put the hammer down.
that's like one of these stories that go down in the history books. I mean, over and over and over again on loop. And you know, you think about it, you're just like it didn't go down as a normal fight, you know? It went down, you slaughtered the motherfucker.
Yeah.
You know, it could have just gone down like, all right, let's go a couple rounds here, but it didn't go down that way.
No. Yeah. I just knew I couldn't let this guy win, and it was just quick reaction time. I just hit him with everything I got, and
And
he
then
went down.
after the fight, do you go up to him and be a sportsman, you know, good sportsmanship kind of believe, you know, you go up to him and, you know, say sorry? Because you see in a lot of fights, you know, two guys will make up, and
Yeah.
did you go up to him and like help him up and shit like that?
Um, I'm trying to remember. I think he got helped up by his team, and I think like after the announcer announced me as the winner, we just kind of like shook hands, and that was it. That was the end of it.
Dang.
Yeah, there was not many words after that, and then yeah, we're trying to get out there as soon as possible because I just didn't know. Like I kind of had this paranoia that something was gonna happen, like out like in the parking lot or something like that. So I was
Oh
just kind of like,
shit! With him?
yeah, because you just never know. So I just remember like hustling to get out of there as soon as I could, because it was like I don't know, like I don't want to get my um girlfriend at the time, wife now, but yeah, I didn't want to get
That's
anyone
smart. Yeah.
hurt or involved. I was like, oh, I didn't know, like, but yeah, got home and celebrated and had a good time.
And then the next few days, you're an internet sensation.
Yeah. Well, it didn't actually go viral like straight after that fight
Oh,
happened.
really?
So yeah, it didn't go viral until like maybe 2 years after that. And then a year, maybe a year. Yeah, year or 2 years. And then I was on like a winning streak. So I had like a 7 fight win streak. That YouTube video went viral. UFC called up pretty much called up my coach and was like, "Hey, we need a replacement fighter at your weight, Ben, in Adelaide, Australia." And I was just at the right place at the right time. You
Oh,
know, viral video when it happened. It really got my name out, and that was my ticket to the UFC.
wow.
And yeah,
Be- And,
yeah, it
you
was
know, you think about that kind of stuff, right? You're like, you know, why would why would any company like UFC, NFL pick up anybody? But the real reason is because you bring eyeballs to the game. right?
Yeah, exactly.
And when you bring eyeballs to the game, it drums up. Like, I mean, Connor is like one of the best examples of that. You know,
Hmm.
just drumming up that excitement and the eyeballs and the you know the goodwill of the people that they would just want to see this go down. And so when you say it was your ticket to the UFC, that contributed, that fight, that viral sensation
Hmm.
contributed to eyeballs wanting to see what happens in your career at the UFC, right?
Yeah, because yeah, like you said, Ken, like there's no reason for the UFC to get you unless you put eyeballs on TV, right? So you really have to get yourself out there, get yourself exposed, and be able to find a way to get noticed. And it's really hard in my sport of MMA because there's so many fighters, right? There's so many people that want to be a fighter, and to get yourself noticed in such a big crowd, it can be really tricky. And I just had like the right. I was just in the right place, the right time. I had a 7 fight win streak,
Mm.
which showed that I could actually fight. Um, I was in Australia, so I'm actually American Vietnamese, living in Australia. I had like a working visa in Australia as well, so that's like a
Big.
major bonus, right? Just having to bypass all that visa stuff to be able to fight on the UFC. And yeah, the viral video thing happened. So that really showed that, I could put eyes onto the show and onto the UFC and stuff. So it was just the right combination of things at the right time.
Yeah. So, how long were you in the UFC for?
For about 4 years.
That's
So
a
I
long
did
time, right?
7 fights. Yeah.
How seven fights?
Yeah, 7 fights with the UFC. And I got to number 8 in my division, flyweight division in the UFC.
That's a uh, that's a pretty big accomplishment from some kid from Sioux Falls.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I love repping my hometown, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, coming from such a small town, and being Vietnamese.
Hmm.
That's something I'm really proud of. Like this small town boy, um, Vietnamese guy, made it to the top.
Yeah, I don't know if you realize how many young Vietnamese men and women you affected at one point or another, in the last few years of your life. I mean, do you think about it? Do you, do you get letters or emails or?
Yeah. I was just about to say, yeah, I do get letters and or messages
Yeah.
these days, on social media. It's like, hey Ben, you really inspired me to pick up martial arts, and you're really a big role model for me. Thank you for that. And like those sort of messages like are the reason why I do this sport, because I love being able to inspire someone to do what they love. And um uh yeah, it's such a good feeling.
Yeah. Have you been to Vietnam?
Yeah, I've been there many times, many times as a kid, and then many times going before COVID, obviously.
Yeah.
So
What what gym do you train at, and what do you go to Vietnam for?
usually when I go to Vietnam, I go train at Saigon Sports Club,
Mm-hmm.
which is one of I'm really good friends with the guys that train there, and the whole team there have been really nice to me. So I always end up there, and I put on a couple seminars and stuff when I'm out there.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, the training out there is really, man. And the MMA scene out in Vietnam in general is what when I went out there maybe 4 years ago, it was like blowing up, man. It was like
Who's responsible for that?
Who's responsible? I don't think it's anyone's responsibility, but like I feel like
Okay,
martial arts.
well, I guess what I meant was, is there like one or two, three guys that are like really pushing it at that training center or in Saigon in general?
I think yeah, I think the guys at Saigon Sports Club, like they were the first people to really get like an actual MMA gym going, and then they put together like this amazing like world class gym. All right, so like this massive area, they've got like a nice gym, like a nice weights gym, and like a pool and stuff, a
Wow.
cage, mats and stuff. So it's like a really professional gym. And then you have all like these like little grassroots places and that just have like just a mat on like under a hut or something. And yeah, and I did a seminar at one of those type of gyms, and we just like put on like a demonstration for them. So like I went in and like sparred with like one or two of the guys from that gym, and there was like a massive crowd there just wanting to watch. Yeah. And just put on like a little mini seminar, taught them a couple things. And I remember riding my scooter home back then, trying to like navigate the streets of Ho Chi Minh City and stuff. And I was like, man, that was like probably one of the best feelings, was like just being able to pass on my knowledge
Yeah.
to like my fellow countrymen and stuff like
Hmm.
that. So and realizing how much of a following there is in Vietnam for MMA. It was like there's so much there's so much love for the sport here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I feel like it's fighting and martial arts, just I don't know, it's in our blood. I think we just we just grew up with it, just ingrained in our DNA, just from the fighting that Vietnamese culture have been through the years.
How long will it take for a fighter to come out of Vietnam that can compete on the world stage, or have we already produced that?
um yeah, I think as far as in boxing, I know we've got a few good guys in boxing. In MMA, we have Martin Nguyen, and myself, and
But that's only
Kung Lee is like being probably the number one famous guy for Vietnam, but like
but that's only
um
three, right? That I can think of. Three
yeah,
of the men. But I mean, um, we're talking about like in Vietnam, not
like
out
homegrown.
homegrown. That's what I'm talking about. Home.
Yeah, okay.
Do you see any homegrown? Or let me ask you a different question. Do you think are we close to having homegrown world class fighters? I'll tell you why I asked that after you answer.
I feel like we maybe in the next couple years, I think we do have a chance. I think we just need uh yeah, I think MMA just got became legalized, like to have actual shows in
Mm.
Vietnam just became legal. And
And
once that happened, I think we there was like one or two shows, and then COVID happened. It's kind of weird. So um um but you would expect like after COVID and stuff, there'll be more shows, uh more of these like amateur level shows that people can get ready for fights and stuff like that, and have a goal set in mind to be able to get ready for something. So once you have those aspects set, you'll see the skill level in MMA for Vietnam to grow and grow and grow. So right now it's just too hard to be able to compete in MMA in Vietnam. So once the shows become more shows, I think we'll be able to
Mm.
see where it goes from there.
Yeah, the reason I ask is this. you have Gracie, that family here all over
Yep.
continent of North America, South America. They're everywhere. Their whole family have branched out and created these centers for amazing jujitsu. I can't imagine that there's not other lineages or dynasties of martial arts families that are created sort of in the United States and all over,
Hmm.
you know. And so there's these traditions that have been here for, I don't know, maybe 3, 4 generations now. And so they've competed and they've taught how to kind of like dominate on the world class level. Is that happening in Vietnam other than you, Martin, and Kung Lei, and Andy, on the female side, and all of
Yeah.
that? Other than those, I mean, what kind of traditions and what kind of dynasties and families do we have that are training inside of Vietnam to get us to the world class level?
Yeah. It's hard because just growing up in a Vietnamese family, you kind of expected to take on traditional jobs, not especially not in fighting and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's just right now I feel like it's almost taboo to be a fighter and to train martial arts. Well, not to train martial arts, but to do like fighting. It just became legal, so it's just I feel like it's still in its infancy stage where it's the sport is still growing and it's still being accepted in Vietnam. So it's just really hard. Whereas like in Brazil, uh, it, doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu was and fighting and stuff is like way
Wait.
more acceptable
Mm-hmm.
in Brazil. It's like, man,
I
it's like
mean,
their everyday life over there, like fighting, fighting on
basketball.
the streets.
Yeah.
Yeah, football. The
Yeah.
sport, sport in general is very um looked up upon there. But in Vietnam, is kind of like expected. Oh, just get like a
Yeah.
normal job over there.
But that must be a really cool feeling too, to think about sort of your individual history as part of just a handful, literally a handful of Vietnamese men that have gone down that road. It's pretty mind blowing if you think about it.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. I sometimes forget where I came from and stuff, and it it does make me feel pretty proud that I'm only one of really a few people to be able to compete
Uh,
such a high
oh
level.
yeah, I mean, forgive me, I might be butchering this, but who else was in? What other Vietnamese made it to the UFC?
Myself and I think, yeah, just Kung Lee.
Did,
Kung Lee was first, and then yeah, me, I came after him. I
there's only
don't think
two,
there is any Vietnamese people in
because
UFC right now.
Martin's not fighting in the UFC.
No, he's with one championship,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I think what's Andy doing nowadays? I haven't seen her.
And Andy has a She has a fight in July in Italy.
Okay,
At the end of July
Italy. Okay,
in
cool.
Italy.
Oh, I think I know the promotion. I forget the name, but yeah, I think I know.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah, and then I think there's B Win. Do you know her? She fights in one championship
Yeah, she
too.
fought Andy in the
I think
early.
she fought Andy twice.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was a big
that's right. Yeah,
rivalry.
big rivalry. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, the two of them. What is it like living in Australia for you?
Living in Australia is compared to America, it's very similar. We're very there's two countries that kind of have a lot of immigrants and stuff. So there's a lot of Asians here as well as in America. There's
What city
there's a
do you
lot
live
of I live in Brisbane, so
in?
I live in Queensland, like a warmer. It's a warmer, summer, beachier type of area, and yeah, living in Australia, you think you see all like the red dirt and the kangaroos and stuff, but it's nothing like that here. So it's very tropical, subtropical. There's palm looking out my window, I see like palm trees and stuff.
Mhm.
So it's very green, and it's very similar to the United States where we're like everyone works like a normal 9 to 5 job. Everyone drives cars like in America. So we actually like it's a driving country. So everyone has a car and drives to work and drives to get around. It's not like you in Vietnam you have to drive a scooter, or if you're in Japan you have to take the train and stuff. So it's very similar to that aspect. And the food is pretty much the same. Like
Same.
we're eating like the same like stuff.
Yeah.
But like the cultures here, there's so many different cultures. You go into like West Sydney, and oh my gosh, have you heard of like what it's like over there in like Sydney and stuff?
I've been to Sydney and Melbourne
Oh, okay.
years back. I spent 2 weeks in Australia and had a great time. It felt like home.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, people are friendly here. There's so many different cultures. Like I was saying, you go into West Sydney, into like Cabramatta and stuff. It's like like little Saigon, man. It's like everything is in Vietnamese, and it's so nice to be able to go into those suburbs and just like get a bowl of pho or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
But do you feel is there racism? What does that feel like in Australia compared to Sioux Falls?
man, I feel like there isn't too like I haven't experienced too much racism here in Australia. Especially like in Brisbane. So Brisbane's more of like they call it like a bogan city. As a bogan is like redneck. It's like the rednecks of Australia.
Brisbane is.
But yeah, but it's not. I haven't really experienced like much racism myself, and when it is, it's just more like, haha, like it's more like it's more like, are you gonna eat like rice with your hamburger or something, like so like
Yeah, something.
stupid jokes like that. Just it doesn't really affect or hurt you, but it's more like a joke, like haha, funny. But
But why did you agree to move to Australia? Why not bring your wife to the U.S.?
oh yeah, so I just followed her to Australia. So me and my wife, we met in Thailand. I was living there on the Tiger Muay Thai team, and then she did like a training camp there, just on like vacation or holiday, and we just met each other in like a boat cruise. So it was like a boat cruise on Christmas Day that was planned, and then we just hit it off, and we did long distance for a long time, and I followed her back to Australia, and I got a job as a coach, MMA coach here, and I don't know, I just felt like uh when I got here, everything just started to come into place for me. I found a really good coach. The coach that gave me my black belt. Um, he was a really good coach, and I was really getting the training that I needed. I got into the UFC here. I just kind of fell into everything. Kind of fell into place for me when I got here, and I probably will live here the rest of my life because it's just
Wow.
super nice here. It's just I feel really safe. I've got everything that I need here. I got really good training. The food's here great. The weather is really nice,
Perfect weather.
especially compared to South Dakota. Man, it's like brutally cold up there, super cold,
You don't
and
miss
don't
any.
have to shovel. Don't have to like scrape off my
Yeah.
windscreen to
You don't miss
go
any of
get
it.
stuff. I don't miss it. No, I don't
Sioux
miss
Falls, though.
that. No. Have you lived in the snow before? It sucks, man.
No, I've stayed for vacation.
Yeah.
New York,
Yeah.
Chicago, or in the mountains here in California. But I can't imagine. It's great
Yeah.
novelty for me.
Yeah. I mean, try shoveling a whole driveway to get your car out, man. It sucks.
Yeah.
Not fun,
So
but don't miss it.
what's next? What's up for you in the future, near future?
So right now with COVID, it's just too hard to go overseas, to go fight. Like they want Japan wanted me to go do like 3 weeks quarantine before my fight, and I was like, no, I don't want to do that, and then have to quarantine on the way back. So I'm just kind of
Waiting.
fighting's just kind of, yeah, I'm just waiting for borders to open up and stuff. And so kind of going into a coaching role. So I've been coaching MMA. Me and my wife just opened up our own academy called
Oh wow!
Strike Combat Academy. So
Congratulations.
yeah, thanks.
What is
And
it? Can you tell me what the academy is?
it's called Strike Combat Academy. So yeah, the wife does martial arts, boxing as well. She was like a regional champ for a while there, and she's really good at what she does. So me and the wife just got together. I'm like, oh, let's just start up our own academy. And,
How long has it been?
couple months. So we're just kind of this in the soft open stage right now.
Yeah.
And
And is COVID an issue for that?
no, we got it pretty good here. We do get scares, you know, the where the city might shut down for a couple days, but it's pretty manageable. I mean, I think the entire country has like less than 100 COVID deaths, so
Wow.
it's pretty manageable here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's felt like nothing has changed throughout the whole COVID year. Yeah, since a year ago from today, like felt like we've just been the same. So we've really got it under control here in Australia.
How many
Yeah.
more years do you think you'll be like at this professionally?
Yeah, so I think about that a lot. I feel like I got about I don't want to put a number on it, but like maybe 5 years,
Yeah.
5 years. And
Do you feel a big difference from year to year, or is it from like fight to fight?
I feel, man, I don't I don't really feel for from year to year, it's, and from fight to fight. Um, I don't know, like taking a couple years off with COVID and stuff.
Yeah.
I felt like I was able to give my body
A rest.
some time to rest, and now I feel like I've got that itch to fight again. And yeah, I can't wait to get back into it and really start to train and get that discipline and have a goal to train for
Yeah.
and stuff like that excites me. That part as an athlete like makes me excited because I love just having like a routine every day and waking up every day knowing, all right, I gotta knock out 3 workouts today or whatever, and that's my only focus. And yeah, that's what I like about being an athlete.
How do you stay motivated when you get really tired, or mentally you're just like, this is bullshit, and you're just like, how do you get
Yeah,
over
we all was that say
how
again?
do you get over humps like that?
Humps like that. Oh man, we all have those days where we're like, oh man, we just don't want to do this. But I guess it's just disciplined in me so hard, so ingrained in me that it I don't really think about it much. It's like I don't even give myself the choice to
Mm.
be able to back out of something. Cause you know when you like wake up and you're like, man, I could really just stay in bed, but I should go to training. I don't give myself that option. I'm just like get out of bed and like start going into routine, and it's just I'm like almost on autopilot, you know. So it's just um yeah, I guess my recommendation is just like just try to have consistent training schedule, you know, like don't give yourself the option to back out. Just go in and do it. Train however many times you want a week. Try to hit, you know, whatever your how many workout goals in the whole week, and just do that over and over, and just get used to it, and you just that's where the discipline comes in. Is you just don't think about having that the choice to do a workout or not. You just do it just
Yeah.
because it's second nature to you. It's just like it's like waking up, brushing your teeth, man. You just go wake up and do it. You don't think about do it to try to do it or not, or you just do it because it's I don't know if we do it every day, so
Yeah,
not a big deal.
that's what you do. What's the difference in your mind between sort of talent, natural talent, or practice? I mean, do you weigh one more than the other, or do you think that they're actually really both necessary to have, or not really? Or is it just pure training that you can get to become a like a top-notch champion?
You gotta have some talent. You gotta be able to pick up things pretty naturally to perform at a high level. But most of it is just that hard work, man. It's just all about
Repetition.
having a growth mindset
Mm,
and knowing that, all right, I might have messed up in this fight or might have lost this fight, but there's what can we do to get better. It's all about
getting better.
what we can do to better ourselves and grow, and instead of thinking, all right, I gotta do I gotta do X amount to be able to produce Y or whatever. It's gotta be like, all right, did I do better than last time? All right, that's awesome. Let's keep doing that, or we gotta change things around to grow faster or
Yeah.
whatever.
You know, I've always wanted to ask somebody about, and I think I'm going to keep asking this question about your record, and not your record, but a record in fighting. It,
Mm-hmm.
it's not. It feels like to me when I think about records, they're not about how many times you've won or lost, but it's like it's almost like streaks are important, and who you fought, or how much sort of excitement you've been able to drum up in the last few fights. What's the most important things about having a record, win, loss, whatever? Is it even important to a fighter?
Yeah. Well, it depends on what you value. Like, do you value the challenges that you've had in your record? You might have someone with a record that's just all wins, but like you go and click on these guys' names and they've had like no fights, or they've lost a bunch of fights, or they weren't very good.
Mm,
I in general would rather have a quality record where I've won fights against really good guys, but if I lost against a guy that was really good,
good, yeah.
it's not a big deal because he was really good. He was, the champion at one stage
Yeah.
or whatever. I'd rather have that than have they
Mm,
call a padded record where you fight all these like tin cans. So it just depends on what you value. So, you know, having an awesome record where you have, you know, undefeated, whatever, and um, you have like this big win streak, and that might be great. But you're gonna get to a stage where you fight a really good guy, and you're like, and you lose, and then like, what happens next? And like, um, it can bring you down sometimes. So having experience like wins and losses, I think when I see a record, I'm like, I look at the quality guys that this guy's fought. Like that's what I'm looking at instead of like all these wins. So it
yeah.
just depends on what you value.
Yeah, that's interesting. I never thought of it that way. I keep thinking of it in terms of how much excitement or how many seats you can fill in the stadium. You know, when I think about these things. But like on a personal level, it sounds you've got it figured out what you like.
Yeah, for sure. And some people are gonna want like a bigger record to be able to propel them up to the next stage or make more money or whatever. That might be great, but I think when it comes down to like when you're looking at it as a professional or as like a matchmaker for a fight, you should be able to like look at someone's record and be like, all right, this guy might pair up really good. If I'm matching a fight with for a fight show, I'm like this guy might match up really well with this guy because he's fought like these guys, and they've fought like the same guy, but this guy lost. Like you kind of try to do all this math and stuff, but you should be able to like look at a guy's record and be able to tell and get a snapshot of what
Good he is.
quality fighter they are based on who they fought
Interesting.
or how they've won or whatever. You know? So yeah, it comes down just like to expert, just having that knowledge and knowing the fight game. And
Speaking of the fight game, how much of those those weigh-in pre-fight scuffles are real?
how much are they, man? I bet you a large percentage of them are real, because when you're on the scales and you spent the whole day, you haven't eaten for 24 hours, you haven't drank water for 24 hours, you sat in a sauna losing water, you're trying to lose all, because when you weigh in, you're trying to like be as light as you can, so you purposely dehydrate yourself to lose this weight on the day, and then right when you step on a scale, weigh in, you pretty much rehydrate, you're back up to your normal weight. That's just part of the sport. It sounds really dumb, but it's just part of the sport.
What's the point of it?
So the point of it is to be as big as you can on the day of your fight. So you have 24 hours to recover from after the weigh-in. So there's 24-hour period from weigh-in to the fight. That's your day to kind of replenish and put everything back on.
Oh wow.
So yeah, you go in, and so I fight at 125, but I walk around at like 140, 145. But I don't want to fight like people 145, because people at 145 are going to be cutting down from like 170, 180 and stuff. So you got to be able to you got to lose the weight to get down to that next weight bracket. So you want to be as big as you can on fight day. So to answer your question, if those fights are real or not, like I would imagine they are real, because like you get on those scales and it might be the first time you see your opponent and you're really hungry, you're really dehydrated, you just want to like kill. You're not a nice person at that stage. So you get those two guys together, you're gonna be fighting him the next day, so there's gonna be some friction.
What can you briefly talk about your training camp and what goes on before a fight? How much prep is involved?
Yeah, so you get paired up in a fight. So you'll get your contract, sign it, whatever, sign it, send it in, and then they accept it, and then fight's on. When the fight's on, you basically you want to start your fight camp like 8 weeks out from the fight, and it's only to be able to get in like this really top shape that you can't be in 100 like all the time, right? You can't be like at your best shape like all day every day. You can only peak for so long until your body just
Gives out.
shuts down. Yeah, it's just too hard. But I am training like all year round and stuff. It's just when I peak, I'm spending like 8 weeks to get into that peak shape and condition, because you want to be at your peak when you're fighting someone. So it starts about 8 weeks out, and just kind of slowly starts out kind of slow, and then it's progressive, and then it goes into like more sparring. You're just doing more actual MMA stuff, so less running, less skipping rope or swimming, and then it just turns into more just a lot of sparring, a lot of drilling, just doing the actual sport as a workout instead of doing weights and stuff. So it just kind of starts out doing more general exercise into like more sparring
And what about in
training.
those 8 weeks? Do you analyze the opponent on film or anything?
Yeah, you do a little bit of research on them. It just depends on your team. So a lot of fighters I know don't like to watch tape on their opponents, because they don't want to because when you look up your opponent, you usually see like highlights of them and you see them at their best. So when you watch your opponent fight before your fight, you can kind of sometimes you can make a monster out of what you've seen. You're like, oh man, this guy's really good. Like, and it just grows and grows. So some fighters don't like to watch tape and they'll just pass it on to the coaches to do all the research and stuff. I watch a little bit of tape, probably not as much as I should, but like I did with the tattoo guy, I watched a little bit of tape on him and was able to figure him out quite quick. But you kind of get a sense of like, all right, am I fighting a grappler or a striker?
Yeah.
That's kind of like the two basic concepts. But now modern MMA is starting to evolve. Everyone knows striking really well. Everyone knows wrestling really well. So it's and it can be hard to pick out like weaknesses and strengths sometimes because fighters these days are like really well rounded what they do. Like you might you're seeing a lot of guys that are excelling at both the ground grappling and kickboxing, striking, and stuff like that. So sometimes it's hard to pick out strength and weaknesses.
Yeah. Yeah. If you were to go back in time, not to say that you would regret, but if you were to go back in time and you were able to change a few things, what would they be?
Oh man,
Like
what
straight up,
would
you
it
look
be?
back, you think back, and you're like, I would have done that differently. I wouldn't have,
Uh,
that way.
um, I'm probably like in my early stages of training MMA. We would spar really hard, like close to like knocking each other out in training and practice. Like we would get super close into knocking each other silly. And with all like the professional athletes these days coming out with uh you see people like NFL people coming out with like CTE and stuff and suicides, and it's getting a bit scary with all the head trauma stuff. So
So that would,
I wish I wouldn't have gotten into those scuffles in training. You
yeah,
know, I and that might have impacted that might impact my mental health later down the future, but who knows, you just don't know. But like now with training in head trauma, I really try to avoid sparring really hard. Usually there's no benefit to sparring that hard. Like you don't need to hit each other that hard anymore. Like you're gonna get enough trauma inside the ring as it is. Like try to save yourself so you don't have to get hit as much.
yeah. Are there words that you would tell your children if you one day when you have kids, would you tell them and encourage them to do this, or would you tell them not to?
Don't be a fighter.
Would you? Would you tell them not to do it?
Uh if they really want to be a fighter, I will let them. Like me and the wife have this, have conversation because we both come from a combat background. So we if they want to do fighting, they gotta be a certain age to get head trauma and stuff like that. So they gotta be like 18 plus to like step into the ring and punch each other. They can like wrestle and grapple and stuff. That's fine.
Yeah.
Like, they can do that.
All day.
But I'm not gonna like push them into fighting. If they don't want to do it, they don't want to do it. If they want to become a basketball player, they can become a
Yeah.
basketball player. Like I don't care. Like that's that's cool with me. Like,
Yeah.
as long as they're doing something that they love to do. Like
You know,
that's all that matters.
a question I've always wanted to know too is how do you pick your fights? Is there a process? Like who approaches you for a
Okay.
fight? How does that back end work?
Yeah. So in the UFC, they've got a special matchmaker. Uh, they have two matchmakers. So one guy does all the bigger weights, and one guy does like all the smaller weights. matchmaker will drop a fight, and he'll pretty much send a contract out to both fighters to see if they want to fight. And so it goes through my agent. My agent then tells me, "Hey, you want to fight this guy, or not?" And you pretty much say yes or no. Say yes. The contract send the signed contract in, and then if the other guy says yes, sends his in, then fights on. Um, and But they match the guys. They have matchmakers that match do the matches,
And
and
is
they
it
think,
pretty evenly matched?
for the most part, yes, it is. Yeah, I feel like they do a pretty good job matchmaking and putting together some interesting fights.
What happens if you
Yeah.
say no?
Say no. Say yeah. Just say no. Don't want to do that fight, or like you say, yeah, just like no. Just say no. And
And it's fine. They
but in the UFC, in the UFC, it's tough to say no because if you say no, they could put you on like the back burner for a while. So it just you wanna usually want to say yes.
Interesting.
Everything.
Have you ever said no?
Yeah. Have I said no? Just on like occasions where I was injured, or I had something planned for that date or something. Yeah, usually, yeah. When that, well, yeah, when I've said no, it's like, yeah, it's like something wrong with me.
And what about the price tag of a fight? Is that all like ordered way like before you sit down and do contracts, like the bigger contracts, the general contract, like you get a 5 fight contract and this is
Yeah,
what you get?
yeah. So yeah, all that's drawn up ahead. So you have like I'll have a contract with UFC, and like they'll have like their pay and stuff. Like, this is how much you make when you show up to fight. This is how much you make if you win the fight, and then the next fight you'll get a pay raise if you won the last fight, or
Mm.
whatever. Just depends on what your agreement is and your
That
contract and stuff like
that's
that.
like way in the beginning though, right?
Yeah, that's like the beginning, when you first sign with the UFC or you re-sign with the UFC, and then when they drop a fight contract, then that's more about like who you're going to be fighting on what day.
But you've already known the money and all of that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. All the money and stuff is like
it's already
settled,
figured out. Yeah,
all done and figured out.
yeah. Well, Ben,
Yeah.
I've had a terrific time with you today.
Oh my gosh, it's been an hour and
Half.
40 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow.
We can
Time
go
flew
on.
by.
There's so many more always more questions, there's always more. I definitely covered, I think a lot of the questions I had were peppered in to the you answered a lot of them in the early part
Okay,
of
good.
the interviews. Yeah. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, is there anything else you want to add to our talk?
Mm, no, I think we covered everything, man. I think that was pretty good. We covered a lot of subjects,
Yeah,
and
there were things that you cover. You brief. Like for example, what kinds of things that goes through your mind after a loss? Like you've talked about that in a way that it was better than me asking the question.
oh,
Earlier.
okay, good.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I've written, and I'm looking at these notes as we're looking at it. Um, you know, it's very enlightening to hear these details coming from you.
Yeah, yeah, I was really excited to come on today and just be able to talk about, being Vietnamese and being a professional athlete. And yeah, I just love being able to represent our culture
Yeah,
in
you're definitely one of the
in
torch.
one of my passions.
Yeah, definitely one of the torchbearers in the fight game in the Vietnamese community. I mean, there's a handful of you, and it's like you're a pioneer in the fight game for the Vietnamese community.
Wow. Yeah, man, it's funny because like I forget about where I've come from and
Yeah,
who I am sometimes, and it's good to be reminded
yeah, and
about that.
a show like mine will live for years and years and years, and the kids that are coming up can be inspired by it. They can look up my show and they can see Andy and they can see you, and you know,
Yeah.
I hope to get the other guys on, very soon and have a record of the early fighters that we have in our community.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm glad to be able to share my experiences with you, and especially with your show being new and stuff. And yeah, like I said, I was really excited to be on today and be able to speak about being Vietnamese and being a pro athlete. Thank you for that.
Thank you, and I welcome you at any time. If you have anything coming up, feel free to reach out, and we can sit down and go at it some more.
Yeah, for
Hopefully
sure,
there's
man. Yeah,
another,
let me know.
hopefully there's another tattooed.
Maybe
That
down the road. Maybe like a rematch or
Yeah,
something like that.
that would be cool.
Yeah.
Wonderful, man. Well, thank you so much again, and good luck with everything with the studio, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right,
See you
bye then.
next time.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you for listening to The Vietnamese with Kenneth Nguyen. The Vietnamese is produced by Brittany Tran and Javier Proenza. Special thanks to Jane Nguyen, Catherine Nguyen, Tina Pham, Sydney Jamie, and Christo Trin. Please find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at The Vietnamese Podcast. You can also find us on YouTube, where you can subscribe, like, and comment. Please rate and give us a review wherever you find our podcasts. Thanks again for listening.